Good evening! Hi, everybody. Welcome to this evening's dramatic reading of an updated version of Sinclair's Lewis 1936 play, It Can't Happen Here Again. I am Paul Langston Daly, the Minister of Social Action here at First Parish in Concord. And as a religious institution, we at First Parish cannot endorse any particular candidate for public office. However, we can express our values in clear and unequivocal ways. Our values as Unitarian Universalists place love at the center. We recognize human interdependence, that we exist within a complex web of relationships and connections. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness, and we support the use of the inclusive democratic process in all decision-making. This evening, we're taking a few minutes to acknowledge and accept the fact that our democracy is in peril, and to do something to commit if we haven't already committed. There are forces seeking to bring about a Viktor Orban style of illiberal democracy, a place where freedom is limited, where anyone outside the stated norms are forced to hide or face violence, a place where journalism is confined to the party line and competition is marginalized or jailed. If you haven't seen it yet, please take a moment to read Project 2025. It will impact you and the people that you know and love in serious ways. We are here in Concord, Massachusetts, one of the central places in which our nascent democracy was nurtured. And we support this important but vital form of government in any and all ways that we can. We want to continue to nurture and celebrate our civic society and our engagement in things that matter. Our real and deep belief that we are all deeply interconnected. We are all, no matter what some people may try to tell you, we are all, each and every one of us, sacred beings with inherent worthiness and dignity. And every single one of us deserves to have the freedoms and the rights and responsibilities that everyone else has. We are pleased to have you all here this evening, and we're happy to offer this opportunity to reflect on the state of our democracy and the ways in which we can work together to support and save it. Again, thank you all for coming, and I'd like to invite you all to please welcome Diane Proctor.
Good evening. It has become a cliche to say that we are living in unprecedented times. Yet a simple glance, as Paul suggests, at Project 2025 reveals the measure of seriousness of what may lie ahead. In 1936, the play you are about to experience was performed across the country. And tonight, this play is being performed this very night in 87 different venues, 50 towns, and 22 states. Isn't that exciting? From Washington State to Massachusetts, in churches, in theaters, in living rooms, in bookstores and cafes, in retirement communities, in cultural centers and art galleries. We are grateful to Minuteman Media Network, Arcady, and the whole crowd. Thank you so much for the good work you do. To First Parish, and thank you, Paul, and the support of the League of Women Voters of Concord Carlisle and UU's Reclaim Our Democracy. Yay! Which collectively have made it possible for us to present this reading to you tonight. Nonetheless, we regret that this play needs to be presented again in 2024.
It can't happen here.
It can't happen here.
A statement.
A declarative statement.
An ironic statement.
It can't happen here. A provocation.
A warning.
Ultimate denial of reality.
It can't happen here.
The title of a novel and play by Sinclair Lewis.
which perfectly expresses the complicity
and complacency.
of America in 1936.
And,
And
now.
In 1936, the tide of authoritarian dictatorship was flowing.
In 2024, the tide of authoritarian dictatorship is flowing.
In 1936, Adolf Hitler's stormtroopers reoccupied the Rhineland, a signal of a forbidden German rearmament that went unnoticed.
In 2024, Vladimir Putin began the third year of his full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
In 1936, Francisco Franco claimed totalitarian powers in Spain, and the brutal Spanish Civil War was ignited. In 2024, the war between Israel and Hamas splintered the American left, threatening its ability to defend democracy.
In 1936, the Great Purge was underway in the Soviet Union, marked by the murders of 7,000 people, a tsunami of blood that secured the tyranny of Joseph Stalin.
In 2024, Xi Jinping crushed feminist movements in China, silencing women who have accused powerful men of sexual assault. In North Korea, Kim Jong-un spurred women to seek refuge, about 3 times the rate of men. And in Afghanistan, the Taliban's victory had erased 20 years of progress on women's access to education and representation in the public sphere and in the workforce. And in the United States of America,
On October 27, 1936, in the United States of America, 1 week before a presidential election,
An election which would determine not only the fate of the New Deal, but of democracy itself.
21 coast-to-coast productions of a new play premiered simultaneously on 21 stages in 17 American cities. The play was called
It can't happen here.
based on a novel by Sinclair Lewis, America's first, and at that time only, Nobel laureate in literature.
That play, like our performance tonight, asks what happens when dictatorship threatens democracy.
And less obviously,
What happens when complacency begets complicity?
In 1936, Hallie Flanagan was invited to do something big. I was asked by Harry Hopkins, my former classmate at Grinnell, to lead the newly created Federal Theater Project. Harry, wouldn't you know, was head of the Works Progress Administration. Me, director of America's first and only national theater. Hey, not bad for a girl from Redfield, South Dakota. She immediately commissioned Sinclair Lewis to write a stage adaptation of his novel, It Can't Happen Here, because it's a play about American life today. The play says that when dictatorship comes to threaten democracy, it comes in an apparently harmless guise, with parades and promises, but that when such dictatorship arrives, the promises are not kept, and the parade grounds become encampments. We as American citizens should like to do what we can to keep alive the free, inquiring, critical spirit, which is the center and core of a democracy.
the play opened on the very same night in Birmingham and in Denver.
Omaha and Los Angeles.
A New York production in Yiddish.
A Spanish production in Tampa.
A black production in Seattle.
Featuring white actors as the villains.
In an article about the 21 simultaneous productions, the New York Times wrote, thousands of Americans who do not know what a fascist dictatorship would mean now have the opportunity to find out.
And today, on July 19th, 2024,
One day after the third consecutive nomination of Donald J. Trump to be the Republican candidate for President of the United States,
we invite you to gather with us for a reading.
and a call to action,
The play you are now watching
like the one staged across the country on October 27th, 1936.
is being publicly performed across America in bookstores and public squares,
Theaters and coffee houses.
churches and bars,
In multiple cities, towns, and villages.
in multiple states.
We are gathered together to ask,
What's happening here?
What has happened here?
Can it happen here?
And
What can we do about it?
welcome all.
We so appreciate you being here.
Thank you for coming.
Together, we can make a difference.
together, we can make our voices heard.
Welcome all. The protagonist of Lewis's play is a small town newspaper editor named
Doris Jessup, the Daily Informer, Bullock Valley, Vermont.
The populist candidate for president running against Franklin Roosevelt is a character named
Berzelius Windrip. Buzz for short.
On the campaign trail. Buzz Windrip makes a speech.
I'm just a common man, a plain man. Darn near as plain and common as Abe Lincoln or that old Virginia hick farmer George Washington who chased the redcoats away from land, by golly, with just a pitchfork. Folks, we were wrong when they thought that the trip was to educate people about Buzz. No. It's me that got educated. What grand people I've been meeting all around. And everywhere I've found that the true American people are divided. They are divided, kept apart by the politicians who in their insensate selfishness befool the very constituents who have placed them on their tinseled thrones. We ought to go forth in great councils of the state, not asking for anything, but telling them, if you honor me with your vote, I shall not be president. I tell you, I mean that. I shall not be president at all, but I will be the telephone central through whom every man in this great land can get in touch with every other man in this great land for the first time since 1861. We can be joined as one united nation, and that will sweep the world.
Doris Jessup, educated liberal.
Complacent.
Doris Jessup, whose belief in reason over emotion naively extends to his fellow citizens, concludes,
It's not so much that I trust Windrip as that I trust that.
Trust what?
That.
quote from the original stage directions. With a wide gesture, he indicates the valley and the far-off hills.
Look, God's own free, open American country. Do you know how big Texas is? Big as any three European countries put together. There isn't any one-horse European country that a dictator could get hold of. No, sir. It's too big. Dictatorship? It can't happen here.
May 10, 1933, Berlin. In an effort to cleanse Germany of un-German books, 25,000 volumes are burned.
Burn Freud.
Burn Einstein.
Burn Kafka.
Burn Brecht.
Burn Sinclair Lewis.
December 5th, 2023, the Fight Book Bans Act is introduced to the House of Representatives. Congressman Jamie Raskin, quote,
America is in the middle of an escalating book ban crisis that requires full attention and strong response. Sinister campaigns to remove books from our schools and our libraries are a hallmark of authoritarian and fascist regimes.
Ban Atwood.
Ban me? Margaret Atwood? I thought America was against totalitarianisms. If so, surely it's important for young people to be able to recognize signs of them. One of those signs is book banning. Need I say more?
Ban Morrison.
Ban me? Toni Morrison? I come from a race of people for whom at one time in this country, it was illegal to be taught to read. White people who taught people how to read were taking the risk of being punished. I think the same sensibilities that informed those people to make it a criminal act for Black people to read are the ancestors of the same people who are making it a criminal act for their own children to read. And I don't see a great deal of difference between that.
Ban Henry Louis Gates.
Ban me. Censorship is to art as lynching is to justice.
But can it happen here?
It is happening here.
Whoa there, slow down.
Nothing like that is happening here.
It just looks like it's happening here, but it's really not.
Okay, maybe it is happening just a little bit in Florida. Okay? And like Texas or whatever.
But this is America.
This is America.
It can't happen here.
Well, that's a relief. But really? Why are you so certain it can't?
November 12th, 2023, at a rally in Claremont, New Hampshire.
The former president of the United States, campaigning for his third consecutive nomination to be Republican candidate for president, said,
We pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and radical left thugs that, like vermin within us, confines in our country that lie, steal, and cheat on elections. The threat from outside forces is far less sinister, dangerous, and grave than the threats from within.
threat from within? What does that mean? Who's he talking about?
By Act 3 of It Can't Happen Again, Dormus Jessup is tortured and imprisoned. He's in a concentration camp for seditious writing, critical of the Winthrop administration.
He dreams of escape to a better place.
Think of in a place where you can speak right out without looking back over your shoulders. Think of Montreal.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming. Your concern, your patriotism. That's a tricky word. It's deeply moving to me as well, and to my memory. My name is Dorothy Thompson. I lived from 1893 to 1961 and enjoy the wonderful distinction of being the first American journalist to be expelled from Nazi Germany in 1934. I wrote the book, I Saw Hitler. It's out of print today. It was quite the sensation at the time. And I described the man thus. He's formless, he's inconsequent, voluble, ill-poised, insecure. He's the very prototype of the little man. Ring any bells? I was married to Sinclair Lewis. He also wrote a book, which was quite a sensation at that time, and his is still very much in print, the bastard. What did I learn from my time in Germany? When our dictator turns up, you can depend on it that he will be one of the boys. He will stand for everything traditionally American. Nobody will say Heil to him or call him Führer or Duce. They'll greet him with one great big universal democratic sheep-like bleat of, okay, chief, fix it like you want to. Okay, anything you say, that's good. My greatest concern? In 1936, yes. But for all of you in 2024, perhaps even more so, it's this. You have moved so far away from an informed public to a persuaded public. When liberty is taken away by force, it can be restored by force. But when it's relinquished by default, it can never be recovered.
Dorothy Thompson, as I live and breathe, and I don't, not since 1967, May I rest in peace? I'm the other Dorothy, the funny one. I'm Dorothy Parker. I hear you. When editors asked me what was I doing to combat fascism, I could only answer, not enough. My last editor asked, God damn it, why can't you be funny again?
In 1936, Dorothy Parker helped found the Hollywood Anti-Nazi League. When she died in 1967, she bequeathed her estate to Martin Luther King Jr.
Like so many writers who were anti-fascist activists in the 1930s, I was blacklisted in the 1950s by the distinguished Republican from Wisconsin, Senator Joe McCarthy.
I have here in my hand a list of 205 people that were known to the Secretary of State of being members of the Communist Party.
One of the many times when it did happen here. God damn it. Now, why can't I make that sound funny?
Before the internet,
And podcasts
And blogs.
long before 8-track tapes,
on television.
And color movies.
there was only radio.
In 1936, if you wanted to win the presidency, you absolutely had to have the support of
Father Charles Colvin.
the radio priest,
Demagogue and master of the medium.
reaching a quarter of all Americans every week.
In the play, Lewis calls him Pastor Paul Peter Prang.
Today, we might call him Fox News.
Spoiler alert, FDR did not have the support of Father Charles Coughlin.
Of course, he did not have my support. Democracy in America is doomed. This is our last election. It is fascism or communism. We are at the crossroad. I take the road to fascism.
Father, what?
And when we get through with the Jews of America, they'll think the treatment they received in Germany was nothing.
Nor did FDR have the support of Pastor Paul Peter Prang, the fictional character in Lewis's play, whose imitation of Coughlin wasn't terribly exaggerated.
I am Pastor Peter Paul Prang, and while I have no quarrel with individual Jews, those subversive international organizations, which unfortunately are so largely Jewish, must be driven with whips and scorpions off the face of this earth.
Today we have Tucker Carlson.
Kamala Harris is a member of the new master race. She must be shown maximum respect at all times, no matter what she says or does.
And Alex Jones.
Unfortunately, folks, we got to help the innocent and face the demons that have taken over. We gotta face it. Most of your top government people are child rapists, murdering scum. I told you everything else. You've seen it come true. It is a pedophile army.
And a former
President of the United States.
ordered by a Manhattan jury to pay $83 million for defaming a woman he sexually assaulted in a department store.
What was the reaction of the former?
President of the United States.
As he left the courtroom?
This is not America?
Actually, it is.
This is not America!
It is, actually. Sure is. Nobody above the law. That's pretty much how it's supposed to work, actually.
This is not America! This is not America! Not America!
Yes,
it is!
Fearing for his precarious hold on power, in Sinclair Lewis's play,
President Buzz Windrop raises an armed militia.
An armed militia which is independent of established government agencies.
An armed militia which is directly accountable to President Windrop.
An armed militia which imprisons,
assaults,
And murders American citizens who disagree in any way with President Windrop.
An armed militia with the sole function of intimidating dissident.
In Sinclair Lewis's fiction, they're called
The
Minutemen.
Minutemen.
in America, in 2024, they're called
Army of God.
Aryan Nation,
Boogaloo Boys.
Oath Keepers.
White League,
Proud Boys.
Patriot Movement,
Imperial Clans of America.
QAnon.
all awaiting instructions from their commander-in-chief.
I am your voice. I am your warrior. I am your justice. And those who have been wronged or betrayed,
Instructions which may be issued on January 6th
I am your retribution.
or on any other day.
Stand back and stand by.
Sinclair Lewis ended his play It Can't Happen Here with the admonishment, remember everything. Remember America.
But what America exactly are we to remember?
In the America I remember, I can check out any books from the library, read all the possibilities I imagine freely. No books or ban or burning in the America I remember.
In the America I remember, I can seek help when my body and future are in danger. I have choice.
I remember never having a lockdown drill, never having heard the words school shooting. I can go to school unafraid in the America I remember.
The America I remember opens its golden door and cries, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free.
I remember all our votes being counted, fair and free elections being fair and free. America, I remember.
Remember with us.
Remember everything.
Remember America. But how? How are we going to do that?
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America, from border to border and coast to coast, and all the ships at sea. This is Walter Winchell. Let's get to Price.
Remember that Sinclair Lewis's play was screened across the nation 1 week before the 1936 presidential election.
The election results are in. President Roosevelt has carried every state in the nation, except 2.
Remember America.
As Maine goes, so goes Vermont.
Remember your sacred duty as a citizen of this nation.
Vote!
In November 1936,
Vote!
We did.
This is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and it is my privilege to serve as your newly re-elected president. I see a great nation upon a great continent. But here is a challenge to our democracy. I see tens of millions of its citizens denied the necessities of life. 1/3 of the nation ill-housed, ill-clad, ill-nourished. We are determined to make every American citizen the subject of this country's interest and concern. I shall do my utmost to speak to their purpose and to do their will, to give light to them that sit in darkness and guide our feet onto the way of peace.
Remember America.
Remember, America.
But what can we do?
What do we do?
Pay attention.
What do we do?
Get involved.
What do we do?
Ask a question.
What do we do? Read.
What do we do?
Listen to each other.
What do we do?
Respect each other.
What do we do?
Challenge each other with civility.
What do we do? Think.
What do we do?
Say their names.
What do we do?
Believe women.
What do we do?
Stay awake.
What do we do?
Act.
What
do we do?
Open your mind.
What do we do?
Get the facts.
What do we do? Show up.
What do we do? Vote.
What do we do?
Vote.
What do we do?
Vote.
What do we do?
Vote.
What do we do?
Vote.
Right.
We are the citizens of Concord, and we approve this message.
It
Must not happen here.
Get
out the vote.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Matt Boger, Shaw Yang, Michael, Linda, Melissa, and Dorothy Parker. Thank you all so much for coming.